Listen to clip number 1 from Rabbi Singer's presentation.
You have to believe that not one writer or apostolic father, that means Clement I of Rome, it's Daniel 9, meaning the text from verse 24 and 25, 24, 25, 26, 27 is never quoted in the Christian Bible. They just went, yeah, we do have the exact calculation of Jesus' death, but there are more important things than that.
Ah, actually, that's kind of a glaring, shocking statement by Rabbi Singer. Extraordinarily so, in fact. Yeah, no New Testament writer makes reference to it. Nobody? How about Jesus himself? How about Matthew 24:15? Matthew 24:15. Yeshua says, "So when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place," and he goes on and says, "let the reader take note." This is the only time that this unique expression is used, Matthew 24 and the parallel in Mark 13, where Jesus is specifically saying, take note, look at this text, take note of this. And where is that passage? Well, the abomination of desolation is mentioned a few times in Daniel, including Daniel 9:27. So Yeshua himself is saying, look at this passage. Make sure you look at it. And it's obviously something having to do with the destruction of the temple that was going to come, and he was warning his followers about it. So he's drawing our attention to this very prophecy. Quite remarkable. Rabbi Singer says no one quotes it, no one makes reference to it. No, Jesus himself makes explicit reference to it. Now, we also know, Paul writing Galatians 4 mentions the Messiah coming in the fullness of time, and there was a sense there are other Jewish traditions inside and outside what becomes rabbinic Judaism that make reference to this text as well. And this is fairly well known. It doesn't you research it online and get some good academic papers that are available online that go through this and how things were looked at chronologically. But there was a sense, others have written about it as well. There was a sense of living in this time, this fullness of time, this messianic era. In fact, from what we understand, the Essenes at Qumran had calculated things using the 70 weeks and were expecting the revelation of Messiah, which would have been, 30 or so years before, 35 years before Jesus was crucified. The point is, though, that Jesus refers to this and points to this very passage, telling us to take note. So the very thing Rabbi Singer said, it was so important, somebody would have pointed to it. Jesus did, and tell us to take note of it. So that's the first thing. That's big. That's very major. And by the way, I've addressed this at great length, from Rashi's commentary to current counter-missionary work, some of the very, very weakest work that's ever been done, in my view. Some of the worst and weakest arguments that have been given to Daniel 9:24-27. I've interacted candidly with folks that I think this is some of the weakest what I've seen. And even Rashi's commentary, what's he actually saying? It's somehow messianic, but future. And anyway, it really breaks down. So the Messiah had to come and accomplish his atoning work before the second temple was destroyed. And the Messiah himself pointed readers to that text in conjunction with the destruction of the temple spoken of in that very passage. As to the idea, well, why don't the apostolic fathers talk about it? How come none of them talk about it? Well, for the most part, they're not writing about messianic prophecy or proving things to Jews or other. These are pastoral letters and things like that dealing with issues, but you have within the first 2 centuries. So the early part of what others would call the Christian era, references being made to this very passage, Daniel 9:24-27. Again, I just checked to see what you can find online. Look for early Christian interpretation of Daniel's 70 weeks, and you'll find references from early on in Christian literature. Where did they get the idea? Perhaps the fact that Jesus drew attention to the passage?